Welcome to the Penny Stock and Cryptocurrency Survival Guide. Before we get into the class itself, I want to give you a little bit of context. The class I put together several years ago, but the key thing here is that the class is about emotions and psychology. And with emotions and psychology, because we're human beings, they've always been around and they will always be around. So what you learn about has been valuable, still is valuable, and will be valuable in the future because we're humans. We're always going to have anger, greed, overconfidence, sorrow, freaking out. All those things have always been around and will always be around. And the key is when you understand those dynamics, as cruel and mean as it sounds, you can leverage those dynamics against other people. If you understand how other people are feeling, how other people are viewing different circumstances, then like I said, you can leverage that to put profit in your pocket. Yes, that sounds mean, but that's how the financial markets work. It's understanding how other people are feeling and believing and then using that to your advantage. The other note is that this course is based around penny stocks, but please realize this for you crypto traders. Anytime I say the word penny stock, you realize that you can and should replace that with a cryptocurrency. Anytime I'm talking about an exact penny stock, please realize you can and should insert in any sort of coin that you may be looking at, because the emotions and psychology is a perfect parallel between penny stocks and cryptocurrency markets. And it's a way that you need to go into surviving penny stock trading, crypto trading, or maybe you're going to do both. But you better understand how what I call the wilderness works, because if you can understand the wilderness, you're going to give yourself a way better opportunity to make money as a whole. So let's go to my desktop and let's get into the class.
Okay, as we go through the penny stock wilderness, the next person on that penny stock pyramid, food chain pyramid I should say, was the promoter. So let's get down and gritty with promoters, what they are, who they are, how they operate, all that stuff. Let's get started here. Just to reiterate, I said you'd be seeing this a lot, and you will be. This is the portion of the pyramid we are going to talk about. Again, belief comes from up here, and then as it gets trickled down, sometimes they choose to go the promoter route, sometimes they don't. They being management or investor relations. So at times, this is where some of the money management will spend, or investor relations, or at times, if there's some behind the scenes financiers, they're the ones who, so picture this as behind the scenes, they're the ones who end up hiring the promoter. So promoters, let me put it this way, can be hired from three people, either management themselves, investor relations, or the third-party financiers that have, those shares that are massively discounted from whatever the current price is. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Let's just first start with the definition, though. The definition of promotion, the act of promoting or the fact of being promoted, advancement. So that's all kind of worthless, that first part. Let's see, let's just cross that out. I really don't like when dictionaries do that. But this is a good word, advancement, okay? What's the next definition? Encouragement of the progress, growth, or acceptance of something. Furtherance. Ooh, that's a good one. I really like this definition right here. 3, advertising publicity. That's the straightforward one there. So why am I talking about definitions? Why are we having a little English lesson here? Well, I want to have a very specific point. As soon as you ever mention a ticker symbol, whether it comes out of your mouth or you type it somewhere online, social media, message boards, chat rooms, a blog, anywhere, you are a promoter. You are trying to advance something, maybe. You're trying to enhance something's growth, or you're trying to further it, maybe. But either way, there are no maybes here. You are advertising it and giving it publicity. Whether it's good or bad publicity, that's a whole different story. But point is, you are advertising, giving publicity. So we're all promoters as soon as you say something. That's kind of the fact that I think a lot of people miss, is everybody is promoters. Now there's a big difference, and we'll get to that. But at the end of the day, as far as the definitions are concerned, as soon as you start talking about a ticker symbol that you own, or even if you don't own it, you're giving it publicity. So therefore, you are promoting it. So what the heck is a job of a promoter? Again, I've already touched on this, but I myself am a promoter, quote unquote. I'm not very much involved anymore, but I still do once in a while get paid for some things, and I'll touch on that a little bit. But what is the job of a promoter? Simply put, they are paid to bring eyeballs to a particular stock. That's it. They want a company, a financier, investor relations. People want people want eyeballs on their belief. Remember, companies, products, whatever, that doesn't matter. They want people, they want eyeballs on whatever belief they're trying to create. Now, this belief, like I said, going back to motivation, this could be a belief that everybody truly does believe in and they want to succeed. At other times, the belief is just, hey, I want to sell shares. Again, motivation doesn't matter. The point is this belief going to be expanded? Is the belief going to exceed reality so we can have some opportunity? So while promoter is the lingo in the world of penny stocks, really promoters, they're just in the business, marketing, advertising, bringing eyeballs. That's all it is. Some of the best ones out there know nothing about the stock market, but they know how to do all the search engine optimization. They know how to where you type something in Google and they're popping up way. They're just master advertisers. But some of them, like I said, don't know anything about the market, but they know how to build an email database. They know how to market their services, which then in turn they can talk about stocks. So end of the day, yes, promoter, that's what we call them in the penny stock wilderness, but they're just marketers and advertisers. And I've already touched on this. They're not, well, maybe there's some people that are, there could be a penny stock hamburger company. I don't think I've ever seen that, but perhaps. But anyways, instead of marketing, a movie or a car or a hamburger or something you'd see on TV, they're just marketing publicly traded companies that trade down on the penny stocks. So what they promote and how they promote, now that can be very, very different. So that's kind of the key thing. There's a whole gamut of promoters out there, and everything that they're promoting, that's all the same. It's going to be a publicly traded company, but how they go about promoting that, that's where we have some differences, I'll say. So are promoters scumbags? That's a key conception or a key idea out there, a key stereotype. Oh, you're a promoter, you are one just piece of filth. And this is all a matter of perspective. I would argue that no, they're not scumbags. Now, as a bow hunter, remember, we absolutely love promoters. We're on the outside of the food pyramid. We're just looking in. We just want to see wherever belief is created. And we want eyeballs. If there's no eyeballs, then nobody even knows about this concept that people are supposed to believe in. Therefore, there's never going to be any money that's made. So with that, we love promoters because they are bringing the eyeballs. Now, if you allow them to convert you into a food source, then yes, you're probably going to look at them as scumbags. When I first got started, I'm not sure if they were paid promoters or not, but there was a couple people where I was like, what a scumbag. They tricked me. They made me think that this thing was a great investment. Now I look back and I just, if I ever met them, I'd shake their hand and say, hey, well done. You got me. Let's go have a drink. But, at that time, I looked at them as scumbags. Now, with all this being said, some of the tactics that are used can be pretty sleazy. I will certainly admit that. But there are lots of promoters out there, myself included, that follow the rules. And I'll also make an argument that promoters, I think, are more ethical than some of the non-promoters out there. And I'll get more into that. But that's more of just kind of something to chew on and just talk about. It doesn't really pertain to your survival. Just one of those interesting debate and discussion points. But for me, I don't think promoters are scumbags. I could see how people would perceive them as scumbags, especially if they use certain tactics. But a lot of promoters out there, they follow everything by the book, and they're actually more transparent than what other people in the penny stock wilderness are. Now, there's 3 types of tactics that they use. There can be other ones that they'd be derivatives of these, but the 3 core ones are going to be, you have aggressive promoters, and these are just the pie in the sky type tactics. You have a fundamental focus, and then you have a technical focus. I've touched on this in the previous presentation. I would class myself as a technical focus. I'll get more into that. Some prey on the lazy. Remember, those are lazy are type of a food source. And then others just leave it up to their audience to make a final decision. They'll just toss something out there and say, hey, this is what it is. You make the decision. But others will you can definitely tell they're going after the lazy who just want to be told what to do. Other people, I would put myself in this category. I throw out a chart and I say, hey, here's the chart. Here are supports, resistances. You make the final decision. As bow hunters, though, again, it goes back to motivation. Who really cares what's going on, who they're preying on, what tactics they're using? I just want to know, are they creating belief? If they're creating belief and they're bringing eyeballs, then that's what we want to see. If they bring the eyeballs, then that's on management. Let me put it this way. If management, their whole concept that they want to create belief in is, and I'll use this example later on, but a rock to pound in a sharp thing. I'm pretty sure that exists, and it's called a hammer and a nail. But let's just say management says, hey, I got this rock, and then you can pound in the spike with it, and I want you to bring eyeballs to this concept so that we can create belief around it. Well, promoters, they can bring eyeballs to it, but at the end of the day, the management totally fails there, because what they want belief created in is just a total failure. So promoters, a lot of times, they're the ones who get credit for, they created all this belief. And yes, they play a role in it, but at the end of the day, remember the pyramid. Remember who's at top. Management's got to be in a sector. It's got to be some sort of company or product or service that people can actually believe in. Nobody's going to believe in a rock that can pound in a sharp thing. That already exists. Therefore, that's just a stupid concept. Then again, with some of the lazy, they would buy into that because that's how lazy they are. A promoter could send out an email and say, hey, this company has a rock and they pound in this sharp thing. You should buy. And because they're lazy, because they just want to be told what to do, they would buy into that, as kind of pathetic as that sounds. But again, I know no lazy people are watching because that's just not their style. So I have no problem just kind of calling it how it is when it comes to them. Anyways, probably went off on a tangent a little bit more, but that's what I mean when I say we're just having a conversation. I'm just going to talk, take notes, and when I go off on my tangents, get up on my soapbox, you can either fast forward, mute, I don't know, do whatever, or just listen. I guess that'd be an option too. So let's talk about the aggressive tactics. I think this is pretty self-explanatory, but I have some homework for you. Go and watch Boiler Room. Actually, at the time of this recording, The Wolf of Wall Street is freshly new on the market. So that one's pretty. That's don't watch that one with kids. I'll just put it that way for that one. But Boiler Room, another one that really demonstrates how aggressive sales tactic works. And how a boiler room, that's exactly what it is, a phone room, can be worked as means to promote a stock, to bring eyeballs to it. Definitely the aggressive approach. So watch that movie and you'll see exactly what I mean. But the phone can definitely be used as a tool. However, it's really dropped off lately with the internet and emails and all that sort of stuff. Actually faxes used to be really popular too, but I'm pretty sure that has totally fallen off the face of the earth. I've never heard of any fax promotion campaigns ever, so I'm pretty sure that's gone. But yeah, believe it or not, faxes were actually used, but those have been replaced with emails, I'm sure. Now, the thing with aggressive is the way they make absurd analogies and claims about a company. Analogies meaning, this company has this product, and hey, this other huge blue chip company has something like it, therefore it's going to be the next, insert blue chip company name. It's just absurd. It's an analogy, Sure, it could happen, but I mean, let's just get realistic here. When a company's loaded down in debt, and company management can't count to the number 10, that makes things a little difficult for happen. But hey, they're being paid. They gotta create excitement. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to bring those eyeballs, create some excitement. But they're being very aggressive with it, and the claims and analogies, everything they're making is just just pie in the sky. And most of the time, the biggest thing here is, if what they're telling you on the phone or the newsletter seems to be too good to be true, well, I mean, you know how that saying goes. If it's too good to be true, if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is, especially in the world of penny stocks. So just remember that. Always pay attention to the words that they used. If after reading or listening to whatever they're telling you, you have, this wow, this company sounds awesome. So you look like this. Holy smokes. This company is gonna, make me a millionaire, then this is what happened. Good for them, they did their job. But the good news for you is you're taking this course so you know that you're starting to be a little bit hypnotized here and a little bit converted into a food source. So yeah, and there's still times it was funny when I was doing research for this, I was reading through some of the newsletters and I was thinking, man, I should probably do some more research on this company. Then I kind of had to slap myself in the face and say, wait, what are you talking about? It's a penny stock. They're a promoter. This is what they're trying to do. So, I gave credit to them, like very nice writing, very nice use of persuasive words. But this company's garbage. So, and I have no problem admitting that. It still happens to me, and I've been in the penny stock wilderness for a while. So just always be careful out there. And again, if you ever find yourself feeling like a little kid on the inside again, slap yourself in the face, throw some cold water in your face. Just do something. I don't know, have your dog bite you. Do something because you need to snap out of it because you are being, you're being drawn in by kind of the tractor beam of the promoters. So here's an example. I'm not going to talk about the newsletter just because A, I'm not trying to create any drama within the promoter community. B, like I said before, I hope people are watching this 15 years from now. So who knows who the promoters and who newsletters are going to be 15 years from now. But the point being, the concept's always going to be the same. This is all emotion. This is all playing on people's emotions. So that's never going to change. But as far as the specific, newsletters and all that, that's always going to be changing. That's a very fluid situation. So let's just take a look at this. I'm just going to read it. Good morning, everyone. It's a shortened week, so the pressure is on to deliver fast gains. I'm coming out guns blazing with one of my hottest picks. Whew! On Friday, share volume was about 11 million, and the stock closed up 78%. That's pretty darn deceiving. We'll get to that later on in the course with the core concepts, but that could very well be a liquidity trap. It's fine if you don't understand what that is right now. We will get to that. Let's continue reading. I think that maybe just the tip of the iceberg. Ooh, this sounds good. This morning alert is just took out the ticker symbol again. I'm not trying to create any drama with anything. I'll tell you why. This one has red hot, immediate. Well, what is that? 3 adjectives in a row. Red hot, immediate. So they love those adjectives. Red hot, immediate term trading setup. But let me tell you a little bit about this very attractive company. So right there, I mean, they are throwing out those bullish adjectives all over the place. I mean, they're trying to get you excited. And imagine if you're one of those lazy people. They're like, oh yeah, I am in the right spot. I don't have to do anything. All I did was sign up. This newsletter is free. This is awesome. This thing is going to be, wow, this is too easy. Why didn't I do this a long time ago? And the lazy are just going to go with it. Investors, they might do some research on it and convince themselves that it's actually a good company. Who knows? But either way, nice work. Remember, speaking now from putting ourselves in the bow hunter shoes, this is what we love to see. When you understand what is going on, we don't mind. If people are too lazy and people want to go and do research and then start to trust the company, hop on the phone with them, build a relationship with investor relations, then hey, let them do that. If they're going to listen to a total stranger who's offering some free newsletter on some obscure website on the internet, then more power to them. But hey, if this newsletter is good at creating belief and bringing the eyeballs, then hey, that's what we want. That's what we care about as bow hunters. Now, the next type of promoter tactic is just the fundamental focus. They do research reports. That's their main tool. These are usually digital copies now, but you can still get stuff in the mail. And they're not an aggressive in their approach, but the way they're aggressive is actually by being very professional. You look at it and say, wow, this is professional, and subconsciously you're automatically thinking, therefore this must be legit. So it's a very, very fancy way of being aggressive in a non-intrusive type of way, because they're very professional. They have all the fancy words. They have graphs, pie charts, all sorts of other charts, and it's very professional in its presentation, which is going to draw you to the conclusion, or I should say, make you want to come to the conclusion. All right, this must be legit. And the professional approach makes their price target seem very logical. So they get you, or they make you start to buy in with all their professional look, and then they throw this price target at you. And if you don't understand how things work, then right there they got the hook in your lip, and you are you're going to be dinner that night. So very easy to fall for things. Especially for someone like me that's kind of detail oriented, appreciates a well put together report or presentation. I suppose that's probably the engineer in me, just always being trained to when I was in school to pay attention to the details. Details matter. So for me, this is always something I have to be very careful with, because I'll look and say, wow, that is a great report. And then, oh, that's their price target. Well, that they did such a good job on this report. Maybe there's some, logical sense to that. No, that's not how it works. So once again, I have to slap myself in the face or have my wife throw some cold water at me, do something so I can snap out of it. Now, we're not going to look at a report just because, you've seen them before. But the one part of the report that really matters, because that's what they're trying to really drag across, is the buy rating. Now let's give this promoter in this example some credit. At least they said speculative. At least it just wasn't, hey, a buy. So let's give some credit where credit is due. Speculative buy, and the price target is $1. Just in case you don't see where that's at, $1 is the price target. The key thing to keep in mind though is, right now, the price is trading at 27 cents a share. So, that's kind of got a ways to go. And I'm sure if you looked at the filings, I'm sure you'd see a lot of debt. There's a promotion going on with it. So I'm assuming that there's some shares out there that people want to sell, whether it be financiers or just the management themselves. So that's going to be a difficult journey to get from 27 cents up to $1. But hey, look, this report looks really fancy. They use a bunch of pie charts. Maybe it's legit. For us as bow hunters, though, we don't like this sort of thing. And when I say we don't like this sort of thing, what I'm talking about is we don't like when people are moral and put speculative. We want people to just be as pumpy as possible. We want people to just create excitement. And when you say speculative, that takes a little bit away from it. Now, is it the moral thing to do? Absolutely. But as far as belief creation is concerned and what's going to make the stock go up, we want things to be as outlandish, as crazy as possible. We need belief because we have to eat. And belief, remember, is what creates those food sources. Now, I can speak very intelligently on this one because this is the tool and classification tool that I myself am in. Technical charts. This is just where you have a video. I personally call them video charts. Maybe you've seen mine before. Or you could just have a picture analysis, something like this, where you have a chart and then you just decide to start drawing things all over it. There's a nice little pattern right there. Breakout. Boom! Okay, do you see what I just did right there? That is called kind of the pie in the sky type stuff. They would be saying, you have this pattern here, and with a break of that, boom, it's going to go up there, and they're all excited. And if you've ever watched my video chart, hopefully I don't sound like that because that's not my intention. My intention is to just make it very black and white. Hey, here are some supports, here are some resistances. If the price breaks here, then the next resistance is here, or if the price breaks below this support, next support's there, blah, blah, blah. Go watch some of my video charts, and you can see what I'm talking about. And that's how I use charts. Some people, like I said, they're going to use them and they're going to twist, say, if it breaks here, then this thing's going to for sure go up $15. I know for a fact I've never said anything like that in a video chart where I say, if the chart breaks right here, then there's at minimum, a 50-cent move. That's definitely pumping. There are people out there that do that. They use charts as a tool, and they just feast upon people that don't understand charts. If you understand charts, then you know that the person's full of crap. For me, I just kind of sometimes I'll say something just because it drives me nuts because they give charts a bad name. But other times I just have to kind of chuckle and say, I feel sorry for those lazy people or those uninformed people that have no idea what charts are, and instead of wanting to learn them, they just decide to have people tell them what's going on with them. So I have pity, but at the same time I don't, because when you're lazy and don't want to learn anything, that's what you're going to bring upon yourself. And I've touched on this, but it all boils down to, are there any certainties being made? If it breaks here, then it's going to go up to there. Well, it might go up to there, but there's a big difference between it's going to and it might. So always keep your eye out for those certainties. That's the big differentiating factor between somebody that's giving you a pie in the sky analysis and then just a simply informative one. Keep an eye out for how they use those words and what sort of terminology they're using. There's a big difference between will and could. I'll just leave it at that. And remember, we have another common sense moment here. Talked about the certainties, those typical words. If there was a method out there that allowed for certainties to be said, that was basically telling the future. Because when you say something will happen, that's implying that you're saying, I know the future and that's what's going to happen. If there was really a method out there that was able to predict the future, everybody would be using it. And if you haven't heard of it, it's probably that doesn't mean it doesn't work, but it's because it's not a crystal ball. I mean, everybody's heard of crystal balls because those have the ability to, tell the future. But if you haven't heard of something and then this person's using it to tell you what's going to happen, that's pretty shady. So use common sense. You know that there's nothing out there, especially in the stock market, that can predict the future. And that's one of those things where just keep that in mind, and that's going to save you a lot of hassle and headache. So, and this doesn't just pertain to technical focus. You saw that in the first example with the aggressive pie in the sky, that email. It's all about the words being used. I mean, the more adjectives they use, the more certainty type words they use. That's just the stronger and more deceiving the promoter is trying to be. So this is very important. This is what really is kind of I think always opens a lot of people's eyes. I've seen it all the time. Hey, this newsletter says this, and I ask them, well, how much are they paid? And they reply, what are you talking about? I say, hey, scroll down, grab your magnifying glass, and I do tell them that because, as you'll see, a lot of the fine print is pretty small. But is the stock being talked about because it's paid, or is it not paid? Now, how are we going to figure that out? Well, we got to just scroll down, and literally scroll down. If you get a hard copy, then flip to the back page. Write that down. If it's an email, just scroll down. If it's a hard copy of something, flip to the back page and then look at the bottom. Obviously, with a phone call, use some common sense. No one's gonna first read, I am being paid such and such and such to tell you about this stock. That's not how it's gonna work. And on that other side of the coin, nobody's calling you just out of the goodness of their heart because they're a nice person. They're calling you for a reason, because they have some sort of skin in the game. How exactly they have skin in the game, that could come in different forms, but they have skin in the game for sure. And like I said, get out your magnifying glass, because at times this can be very, very hard to do to find the perspective here that we're going to talk about. So the disclaimer. The disclaimer is what it's all about in the world of penny stocks, especially when it comes to promoters, because they offer so much insight and perspective, and not just in one or two ways, but multiple ways. So the first is just simply, is it a paid promo or a list builder? What's the size of the promo? Or is it just a list builder? Is it monetarily, or is it the number of companies that are promoting it? So that's going to be the two ways that we can figure out the size of a promoter. Again, how big, how much were they paid, or how many companies are promoting it. And when I say companies, I don't mean the actual company that is being promoted. I mean other promoting companies. And I'll get more into that later. But just looking down at the disclaimer, it's going to be very, very beneficial and very revealing. There's the word I was looking for. And then the third is just, what is the type of compensation? Were they paid in shares, or were they paid in cash? Now here's my disclaimer. Like I said, not trying to create any drama, so I will just use my very own disclaimer. And I will say this, and I am going to pat myself on the back. This is not usually what you see. Disclaimers usually do not have something bolded in red that says, please note well, and then they talk about whether or not they were paid. Usually it is buried somewhere. Usually they don't put out the number. It is spelled. Because think about that. If you're looking through a disclaimer and all you see is words, that's going to be much harder than a bunch of words and then all of a sudden you see a number. So that's one of those little tactics they use. And that's something that I think is really revealing. Are they giving you an actual number, or are they spelling out the entire number to try to make it blend in with all the words? Just one of those small little things, but very revealing. So get out the magnifying glass. This is not how it's always going to be. But like I said, I'm just going to use mine. And you can see here, they need to tell you if they're being paid. So for this one, I was compensated by a third party, and then they'll give the amount there. And then here I have the ticker symbol blocked out. Then it goes on to say that my company does not own any shares of, well, there it is right there, PGLO. So we'll just roll with that. Pretend like you didn't see that. The third party has shares and may liquidate them, which could negatively affect the stock price. That's pretty straightforward. Pretty revealing. This compensation constitutes a conflict of interest as to our ability to remain objective in our communication regarding the profile company. So I think that's pretty straightforward, and I would say that the key line here is that liquidation of any shares could negatively affect the stock price, which is pretty black and white right in front of you. So again, just want to recap things here. By looking at the disclaimer, we're going to know whether or not it's paid in the first place or just a list builder. We're going to know the size of the promo, and the size is going to come from either how much they were paid. So for example, if the example down in the disclaimer is such and such company was paid $200,000, or sometimes you'll see $1.5 million, pretty good idea. Okay, this is going to hopefully have a lot of eyeballs, so it's worth watching. If they're paid in this case, a much smaller amount, then yeah, there might still be some eyeballs, but it's not like anybody's pouring in a massive amount of money into it. Or if you see a bunch of companies, so you see, my newsletter and then, 15 other newsletters, then you're like, okay, there's a lot of people out there that are being paid to promote it. So therefore, it's probably a decent sized promo. Whereas if you just see one or two other newsletters, then it's probably going to be a much smaller promo. And although that's, not necessarily a bad thing, the less newsletters that are on it, the less eyeballs that are going to come. And with the less eyeballs, the less chance of belief being created. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, that belief. So keep those things in mind. The disclaimer, very revealing. Now, why does all this matter? Yes, it's all revealing, but what does it actually matter? Well, if it is a paid promo, then this is what you need to assume. You need to assume that there are shares that need to be sold by someone. Keyword over here being someone. Who really cares who that someone is? Point is, shares need to be liquidated. Somebody wants to sell some shares because right now there's just not enough volume in the stock. So they want to try to create some beliefs and get people to come in so they can sell some shares. What you should not do, and this is crucial, you should say, hey, it's promoted, people are being paid for it, I must avoid this stock. Why? Why would you avoid something that people are paying to bring eyeballs to create belief? That makes no sense. Remember, if belief is greater than reality, that's going to equal opportunity. What happens if I get rid of this? because let's say there is no promotion on it, so nobody even knows about it, then nothing, then all you have is this. You have nothing because there is nothing. There is no equation because nobody knows about it. If nobody knows about it, then that's the reality of the situation. Nobody knows about it. And if there is no belief or reality, there's absolutely no opportunity at all. So keep that in mind. Without promoters, without people paying to bring eyeballs, there is no belief. And with no belief, that's the reality. And therefore, there is no opportunity. So just because something is paid doesn't mean that you totally avoid it. Now, even if there are shares, and we're going to see plenty of examples of this, shares can easily be overcome by belief. In fact, some of the best moves in penny stock land and in penny stock history are because there were promotions behind it. Because so much belief is created that it easily overwhelms the shares that are being sold, and it just creates more momentum, and the price just keeps on moving up. So again, don't be scared because somebody's paid. That's one of the biggest pet peeves. Oh, such and such is paid. You have to avoid it at all costs. Why? Now, am I saying you should jump right in? No. I mean, we have to measure the belief. We have to make sure that there's belief there. But just because somebody's paid to bring belief doesn't mean that you should just discard it. So I get passionate on this one because that's just stupid. Again, not saying you should buy automatically, but I'm definitely saying that you shouldn't be scared away, and it's a good sign to at least monitor some belief. Now, the one thing that it does mean is because there's some shares out there, it just can't be some sort of organic thing. There is going to be more belief that's needed in order to compensate for those shares that are already out there. But that is true. However, if they're any good at their job and they're good at bringing all those eyeballs, then that belief should be enough to overcome any shares. Now, the talking point here I want to talk about is awesome penny stocks. And these people were paid to promote. And if this rings a bell, great. Depending on when you watch this, hopefully 15 years from now, you're going to say, I have no idea what you're talking about. But Awesome Penny Stock is a newsletter. They're now been closed down by the Forest Ranger, the SEC. But they were just a massive promoter. They were paid huge amounts of, to promote. And they had lots and lots and lots of shares to sell. I mean, lots of shares to sell. However, they were very good. They were masters at creating belief. And the stocks they promoted went on massive runs. I'm not going to, talk about any of them right now, but just know that these stocks went on, almost legendary runs. And it was all sorts of volume. It was crazy. And it was one of those things where if you, subscribe to the theory, oh, it's being promoted, therefore I have to stay away from it. Well, you missed out on such great opportunities. Now, did all these stocks crash? Absolutely. That's because and that's why we have to always measure belief. But when the belief was there, these stocks just went nuts. And, for anybody that remembers Awesome Penny Stocks, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And you know that just because they were paid and had all sorts of shares to sell, they were masters at what they did, and they were still able to produce. The belief that they created so far overwhelmed reality that, the opportunity was just massive. So are all promoters created equal? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And within the promoting community, this is one of the, the promoting community is cutthroat. To get business, people are throwing each other under the bus. So promoters are not equal in reality, and both, within the community itself, there's people who do not look at each other as equals. Now, how can you tell who is better than others? This is not an exact science, but some things that we can use here, we've talked a little bit about them. How much are they being paid? If somebody is being paid a lot, then you can assume, all right, these people are probably pretty good. However, just because they're saying they're being paid that amount doesn't mean they are. So, and obviously there's nothing you can do about that, but that's just something to keep in mind. How many lists do they have promoting it? Now, how do you know how many lists that a certain person have? Lots of these companies own 10, 15 different websites. So your email inbox you may be thinking, look at all these websites that are promoting this stock. Well, it's all the same company that was hired once. However, they're just sending it out to all their emails. Now, the way you can figure that out, look down on that disclaimer and look at the company being paid. Remember in mine, it said Guidance Marketing. If I had a bunch of lists, each one of those lists would say Guidance Marketing is paid by. And then you say, okay, Guidance Marketing owns all these lists. Therefore, although it looks like there's a bunch of, lists covering something, I have all these emails. It's really just one company that's being paid to send all that out. So look at the disclaimer and look at the company name, and that's going to tell you how many lists. Now, if you have 30 and 5 are from one company, 5 are from another company, 5 are from another company. All right, now you have multiple traders that are using multiple lists. So that would tell me, all right, this is a chance of being hopefully a pretty good play where some belief is created. And then how are they being paid? Personally, you may think, oh, if they're paid in shares, that's bad. I think that's a good sign, and this is why. It's because they have confidence in their work. That's why the awesome penny stock people that we were just talking about, they knew that they could bring the belief. That's why they wanted shares, because they knew if they had shares at a discounted price, when they brought that belief, the price was going to skyrocket and they were going to be able to make a lot more money than just taking cash. Now, as far as the Forest Ranger SEC is concerned, that can get kind of sketchy. So, my disclaimer here, I'm not advising to jump into the promotion game and just start taking shares so you can dump them on people. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying, though, is as bow hunters, as being traders in the wilderness, when we're looking at that disclaimer, if we see that somebody's paid in shares, I like that because it shows they have confidence in themselves. Now, does it always work out that way? No. And am I going to just buy in just because I see somebody was paid in shares? Absolutely not. I need to measure belief. But if the belief is there, then lots of good things can happen, lots of opportunity, and I like people that have confidence in their ability, and that's the best way. Kind of put your money where their mouth is. Because think about it, if they don't create belief and the shares do nothing, then they're basically not going to make any money at all. But if they have those shares and they think they can make the price, really explode, really just get everybody excited and get that belief super strong, then that's what I like to see. And as bow hunters, that's what we want to see. So the best way to track them is just before and after results, meaning you sign up for a newsletter, you say, okay, they just covered ticker symbol XYZ, then you watch it that day, okay, that stock did absolutely nothing, or holy smokes, that thing exploded. Then you know, okay, maybe this promoter is better than other promoters. So that's one way to track them, just get their emails and then measure before and after. Now we just talked about paid promos, now I want to talk about the non-paid ones, or the list builders. So a list builder, what is this? A list builder is non-paid, so you may be thinking, well, why is a promoter even going to waste their time sending something out, typing something up if they're not even being paid for it? So what is the logic, what is the rationale behind something like this? They're doing it because they want to build faith in their subscribing members. It could be that they're recovering from a list burner, which means they were paid and their list gets dumped all over, meaning whoever hired them has a bunch of shares, they weren't smart about it, and they just unloaded the shares, probably all at the bid, and they just crushed it. This is not fun for the promoter, and it's not cost effective at all for the promoter, because now you have all these people on their list that are thinking, you told me to get this. So the lazy people, because they're not going to blame themselves, they're going to say, hey, you gave me this pick and it went straight down. What's up with that? I'm never going to listen to you again. That's a promoter's worst nightmare. They need people to listen to them. So a good way to get them back in their good graces is to do a list builder, have one where the price goes up, and then they can get people back into their good graces and have people, get back kind of on board with what they're trying to do. So, and the thing is, a lot of the times these will go up because there's no shares to be sold. They'll usually pick low floaters, and they're not going to front load them. They're just going to pick something that they know is going to explode, and then it goes up, and then, hey, see, I know that last pick was bad, but look at this one, much better. Please trust me again. And then they also do it just to impress people so that they can get hired. Remember, promoters, they got to get work too. And a great way to do that is to say, hey, look at my list. I did this one, just free of charge. There's nobody paid me for it. But look at how much belief I created in it. Look at all that volume. Would you consider hiring me? So it's also used as a tool to just get people to, pay them to go and promote. I think that's a big misconception. People think promoters don't have to work for anything. It's cutthroat out there, and getting business is not easy. And a list builder, that's just some people's business model to show, just what their list is worth. The majority of them, like I said, they find in those SEC filings ones with low floats, and therefore the stocks skyrocket. Usually they gap up in price. And if you ever do want to partake in one of these, remember, we're going to know if it's a list builder or not, because on that morning, you're going to look at this claim. You're going to say, okay, nobody was paid. Okay, so this is a list builder. It should move, but they should be played with small size and very quickly, because let me take a step back. First, you have to make sure there's belief. I mean, you just don't randomly buy because you say, oh, it's a list builder, therefore it's going to go up. Yeah, a lot of times they do, because there's no shares out there that need to be sold. But at the same time, you need to make sure that this promoter's even good at creating belief. Just because somebody's not paid, there may be a reason they're not being paid, and it may just be some sort of test for them. You just don't know. That's why we always have to measure belief first before you ever buy. But if you do see some belief and you do see some, price action that you like, then it should still be played with small size and very quickly, because there's nothing coming later. It's not like this is some big promotion campaign or anything like that where there's going to be other promoters that follow up and all that stuff. Usually it's a one-day type thing, and if you follow newsletters, you've seen it before. A gap up, a spike, and it falls back down, and then that's it. And of course, the newsletters are saying, hey, we alerted this and it, went up, 150%. Well, yeah, it went up 150%, but it was a liquidity trap. Again, we'll get to that. But for them and their marketing perspective, it gives them good stuff to talk about. So just a lot of one-day promotion, and that's it. No other follow-up. Now, just one more note on the disclaimer. Newsletters, that's what I've been using as an example. But posters on message boards, social media, etc. Always be looking for profiles. Look at websites, find the disclaimer area, the disclaimer page, whatever. But everybody should have a disclaimer, whether it be, like I said, message boards, social media. Usually social media, you're going to have to click on their website somewhere, and then on their website, you'll go have to find the disclaimer area. But the disclaimers are out there, or I should say they should be. And on that note, not all disclaimers are truthful. I've touched on this. Some claim to be paid, but are not. Some claim to be paid, or some claim not to be paid, but actually are paid. Some claim to be paid, but aren't paid. And some claim to be paid, but the actual amount is higher or lower. So are you having fun yet? Welcome to the wilderness. Welcome to promoters. But you know what? The good news is, who really cares? It's all about belief. And if someone is claiming not to be paid, but they actually are paid, and then they do a great job of creating belief, that's fine. Because remember, belief is what we're basing our decision on. We're not basing it on these sorts of things. We just want to know if people believe, and if people believe, then we'll start to trade things. But until then, we're not going to make any decisions just based off all this. Yes, it's confusing, and yes, it's kind of like, well, what is going on? It's a clown show out there. Yeah, it is a clown show, but that's why we have belief, and that's why we're going to survive in the wilderness. Now, I keep getting ahead of myself, but that's what happens when I get passionate and we're just in a conversation. I start talking about stuff that I shouldn't be. So we've already covered the first couple bullet points. Who really cares? Doesn't matter whether or not they're honest in their disclaimer. As bow hunters, we just want to know, are they good at creating belief? However, this is where tracking comes in. We can. There's a way to track whether or not they're good at creating belief, and this is it's an ongoing situation, because like I mentioned, there's always going to be promoters that use newsletters, yes. However, who they are and if they're any good, that is a very fluid situation. All it takes is one list burner, two list burners, and one promoter's whole website is going to have a bad name, and nobody's going to touch anything ever again. So very fluid, and you need to be very active in measuring who's good at creating belief and who is not. So along with tracking, there comes an automatic understanding of the promotional context each day, meaning you're going to know, all right, there's some context here, and the context is it's promotional. We know that there's promoting going on. Context is never a bad thing. Is that what matters? No. What matters is belief. However, having some context is always a good thing to have. So let's talk about some tracking and context. How are we going to establish this context? Well, I'm going to go over what I do, and what you're going to need for this is a Yahoo email account. I say Yahoo because the next step is you'll want Yahoo Messenger. And the reason you want this is messages will pop up during the day saying you got an email, and then you can see quickly what's going on. However, if there's something else that allows the message to pop up in the bottom of your screen through another email provider, you can use that. However, any way you slice it, don't use a personal email account. Create something. Create a new email address. Create a new email address. Create a new email address. I hope that you got that in. Don't put your work email address. Don't put your work email address. Don't do a personal one. Just create a new one. And that makes life much easier. Now, why am I saying to do this? Well, we're going to go on a journey here, and we're just going to start signing up for as many newsletters as we can, and that's what's going to give us some context. So let me show you what I mean here. Okay, here we are on Google, and what I just Googled up here was penny stocks. I mean, get creative penny stocks, penny stock newsletter, penny stock picks, free penny stocks, hot penny stocks, penny stocks that explode. I mean, just anything with penny stocks in them, just start signing up. And the thing we're going to do is you can use over here in the main column of the search engine, but for me, and I'm using Google right now, I'm all about who is paying, because remember, these people are going to pay to get stock or to get your eyeballs to sign up for them, and the ones that are paying, they're the ones who are investing into their promotional business, so you would assume that they have decent lists. So right up here we have penny stock. So here we go. So now you're going to come here, don't even look at the website. That's a waste of time. And just type in, whatever your email is. So promo emails only. Don't want to get overrun. So you could have something like that, and then we'll just say you used Yahoo. Come over here, bam, subscribe. You do that. Okay, great. Let's go find another one. Okay, here's another. So let's see, there's there. Enter in your email there at Yahoo. Again, doesn't have to be Yahoo. It can be anything that has the ability to have something pop up in the bottom of your screen. Let's see, what are some other, I don't think we've gone, nope. So here's one over here, boom, bam, subscribe. Notice how long, and I'm not exaggerating. I'm not saying you should look around at the website, just subscribe and then move on. The big clue here is these people have paid for these ads. So again, you know that they're investing into their business. You know that they're trying to build a list. And when they're trying to do that, they're actively trying to create belief. That's what we want. You know, somebody obscure that's not investing in their own marketing at all, chances are they're not a very good promoter, don't have a very good list at creating belief, so who really cares? Never heard of these ones before. So blah, 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 right there, enter it in. Come down, okay, there's another one. So hopefully you get the point. We are just finding everything that you can sign up for. Always make sure. Apparently I don't know how to, oh, it must be, sorry, I couldn't, because of the way I have my browser right now, I wasn't able to find the numbers on the bottom. Make sure you go to page 2. Now, who's getting page 2 type advertisement? Okay, we've already clicked on them. Okay, here's another one. Ooh, screaming penny stocks. So there, enter it in, and you get the point. Now, what we're doing here is we're building a database of penny stock newsletters. Hopefully, you're starting to see now why you don't want to use a personal or work email, because when you sign up for 50, 60, 70 newsletters, every morning you're going to wake up with 50, 60, 70 emails. Now, do you read each and every news email? No. That's what we're going to cover next. This is how you look at the emails. Okay, here is my personal address here, and the first thing to note, you can see I don't open very many of them at all, because when you open them, this number goes down, but I have over 100,000, right? Over 100,000 emails that I have not opened, or wait, is that 10,000? 10,000, excuse me. I have over 10,000 emails that have not been opened, but like I said, all I do, you open this up, and then you just start to scroll down. So on this particular day that I'm recording this video, let's get an idea of what's out there promoting. PGLO once, twice. Okay, so what's this one? MDD, and so that one's got a couple newsletters on it. Let's see, MDD. There's a couple. So here's a theory. Here's MDD. Right here it says Stock Freak. Over here it says Penny Stock Crew. I'm wondering if these people are owned by the same person. So let's just scroll down to the bottom. Okay, get out the magnifying. All right, question. And this is all unscripted live. I'm going through it like I would at any time. All right, here's a disclaimer. The Stock Freak has been compensated $75,000. Okay, so this, I would assume, is a pretty decent sized promotion that's going on. And so yeah, $75,000. Now let's go back. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. What did I say? The stock, and then Penny Stock Crew. My theory was that both these people were probably owned, or both these newsletters probably owned by the same person. And then right here, yep, sure enough, Penny Stock Crew has been compensated $75,000. You can see this whole disclaimer is the exact same. And I hopefully this shows up decent on the video. I mean, I'm having to squint my eyes right now just trying to look at it, and you know, this is my actual screen, not a recording. But I mean, you get the point. I mean, that's a big disclaimer. But I will give these people credit. Good for them. They straight up gave the number, which made it very, very easy to see rather than spelling it out, which would have made it much harder. So this is a big one. Actually, I'm going to pull up a chart. Let's see how this one's doing today. So here you can see, you know, not much action. And then today, that is what's going on. You can see volume all of a sudden surge and price having an upwards move. So looking like that $75,000 is bringing some eyeballs. So, you know, there's one again. You know, if you had checked these in the morning, then, you know, there could have been a nice little opportunity here. But let's take a look at another one. All right, another one that I'm noticing here, SOUL. I think I saw it up there somewhere, didn't I? SOUL. Okay, yeah, right there. SOUL, there's a mention there. SOUL mentioned again. SOUL, 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 SOUL. All right, so this one, I'm guessing has some sort of promotion on it today, and I'm guessing it's a relatively big one because there's all sorts of people mentioning it. So let's see this one. Has been previously compensated. So this is a nice disclaimer. They're letting you know that they've been compensated for it before. Okay, have. So it's looking like they were paid $21,000 on this one. All right, so $21,000. And then let's look at another disclaimer. I'm kind of cheating here because I know some of these newsletters are owned by the same person. I know this person is different. So there are multiple companies, there are multiple marketing companies that have been hired to do this. Let's see. Do you see any numbers? Okay, now, there, see right here. They spelled it out. We have been compensated $25,000. So now we know there's at least $50,000 that's been spent because one company was compensated 21. These people are just compensated 25. So just underneath 50,000. Out of curiosity, let's see. No, I know Darth Trader and the Stock Cycle, they're owned by the same person. Again, names, who cares? Because 15 years from now, who knows what people are going to be called. So, it's not that big of a deal. Anyway, so let's go check out this one and we'll see. How this one did today. Again, SOUL, you got the point. It is all over the place. All right, looking at the chart here, it looks like the promotion actually started yesterday, and today was just a follow-up day. You can see there, just no volume, no belief, nothing. Boom, belief. You can see the price spike there is now just kind of hanging out here. So again, my guess, if we went back and looked through the emails, you would see that actually yesterday was when the emails first started to show up for SOUL. Very nice job. So for us as bow hunters, this was a nice move. What did it see? It opened down here around 39-ish, went up as high as 50. So that's an 11-cent move in one day. I mean, if we're looking to get out and in and out in a relatively short amount of time, because we know the context, we know that it's a promotion, we know that that penny stocks are just garbage in general, then hey, there's a very nice trade here. Now the lazy people who think this is actually some sort of long-term investment, they got another thing coming to them. But because we know the context of not only the promotional context, but just the overall context of the wilderness as whole. Cash for trash. These things are all garbage. A very nice trading opportunity here to get in and out. And before I get into the final note, again, Yahoo Messenger, that's what you want to download, and then you always want to have it open because whenever a new email shows up, you're going to get a little message that pops up and dings in the bottom of your screen. That way you can always have an idea of what's going on from the promotional. If you keep seeing it, like this example, SOUL just keeps popping up, ding, and you see the message pop up, SOUL, and all you're going to read is the headline. You don't have to open it up. You saw what I did. You just scroll down through the headlines, see what ticker symbols are out there. Who cares what the email says? I mean, you now understand what's going on. So who cares what the email says? Just look at the headline, and then as you saw, that's going to dictate it. But in this case, Yahoo Messenger, it pops up. I'm not saying it has to be Yahoo Messenger, but use any any email that allows you to download something where the messages automatically pop up and notify you whenever a new email shows up. That's the key thing I should really get across is you want some sort of function where whenever a new email shows up, you're automatically alerted to that. So use those tools and gain just a good overall promotional context. Then when you combine that promotional context with the overall context of the penny stock market in general, there can be some nice opportunities out there where belief is created. So for my final thought, promoters, and this really has nothing to do, so you can stop the video here if you want, but just a discussion point, a debate point. Promoters have that reputation of being a sleazeball and scumbag. People look at me, oh, you're a promoter, you little scumbag. Well, I would disagree with that based off the way I do it. I just provide information on the chart. But anyways, the ones that lie in their disclaimers, I agree. If people are, trying to be shady in that way, I agree. That's sleazeball, no matter what business you're in. But the ones that have disclaimers and admit they are being paid, remember that one disclaimer we looked at where they were even admitting to being previously paid? I mean, for them, how is that sleazy? They're being totally transparent. Keep that in mind. I want you to remember they're being totally transparent that, hey, we're being paid. You saw in my disclaimer, there could be shares out there. When those shares are sold, that could negatively affect the share price. And that's, I think, as transparent as it can get. And when you think about all that and keep all that in mind, is it really the fault, or is it really, their fault, the promoters, if you're too lazy to read the disclaimer? Oh, I didn't know the disclaimer was there. Well, sorry. But point being, transparent. That was a great example of that one I showed where I actually had trouble figuring out how much they were currently paid because they were disclosing how much they would have been previously paid. I mean, that's very transparent. That's a great disclaimer. But when you have that, and then versus what we're going to learn about in the next presentation, just kind of keep that in mind from the moral perspective of things. Who really is the sleazeball here? And I'll just leave it at that. So you now understand promoters. You now understand how they work. You now understand how they operate. Sometimes they're paid. Sometimes it's just a list builder. And you know how to monitor them and get a great overall context of who's creating belief and who isn't. So if you want, after this video, go sign up, create a whole new email address, and hit up a search engine and just start getting creative with your penny stock, penny stock newsletter, penny stock pick slogans, and just start signing up and getting as many subscriptions as you can. Because they all are going to be free.
Well, I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please do a couple things for me. Hit that like button and leave a comment below, even if you just say thanks. Also, go to claytrader.com/team, and if you want to join my private community that's got all sorts of added benefits, you can learn more at that link, then please join. I'd love to have you. It's very cost effective, and like I said, if you want to surround yourself with other quality, like-minded people such as yourself, then I hope you give it some consideration. But again, if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button and leave a comment down below.